Clemson, to me, saved college football last night. And I'm not engaging in hyperbole by saying that, because all we've been talking about is Alabama. We remember the 35 points South Carolina dropped on Clemson. We remember how Syracuse gave them a run for their money, losing 27-23. We remember Texas A&M dropping 26 on them earlier this year in Jimbo Fisher's first year. We saw those things. We looked at the schedule and we said, you know what? Clemson's a good team, but Alabama's on another level. What Dabo Swinney showed us last night is that he's been waiting all year long to coach against this man, Nick Saban, and the Alabama Crimson Tide. And so when I look at it from that perspective, and I'm thinking about the monopoly that Alabama has had over college football, and now you've got Clemson, who's won 2 national titles within the last 4 years, going up against Alabama all 4 years. I think it's sensational for college football, and I also think in this sense, last night, there was a positive and a negative, believe it or not, to Nick Saban. The positive is that when you get annihilated like that, all of this stuff, no matter how much they're winning by, how Nick Saban stays on everybody, how he's known as a curmudgeon to some degree, constantly berating, constantly going after it, so intense, never a lax moment. We have just, we've decried that from time to time. We see now why he's that way, because you can never take any time off. You can never assume anything. You can never take anything for granted. And that's an incredible lesson for them to learn. That's the positive.
Welcome into Views from the Sideline, January 8th, 2018. We had a big football game last night. That's Stephen A. Smith, courtesy of First Take on ESPN, breaking some stuff down. And, I just want to jump right into it, guys. I think we got to. We kind of... Joey,
I got a quick question for Malik.
Go for it.
Malik, did you know that monopolies are illegal in the United States? This man, Nick Saban, has been taken down. I'm excited.
I'm excited for this conversation.
Let's get right into it.
Joey's going to eat his words.
Let's get right into it. Malik, please, you guys go right into it. This is a debate.
Game reaction
first?
This
is game reaction. No.
Okay.
This is, you can go at Joe whatever you need to do, whatever he's saying and you think is wrong or a bad view, go for it.
Listen,
floor is yours.
First of all, Clemson, congratulations, Dabo Swinney. What you are doing in college football right now, it looks like you're becoming the new dominant team. Last night, the way you outcoached Nick Saban, you had him running around in circles. You made him do a fake field goal play from 5 or 6 yards away. He just looked like he had no answers for what Dabo Swinney was throwing at him. They were too aggressive, too athletic. His true freshmen were making Alabama's defense look like real kids, and it was extremely impressive to watch. Now, Joey.
Yes?
All this hate of the Alabama dominance, all this...
Apparently, I'm not the only one, though.
All of this stuff that you don't like. This is Clemson's second national championship in the past 3 years.
Yep.
By the year 2024, they're probably going to be up to about 5 national championships. This isn't stopping. Dabo Swinney is going to be at Clemson forever. Him and Nick is going to be Clemson and Alabama every single year. So when are you going to get tired of Clemson? That's the real question. Once Clemson hits 5 or 6, well, how will you feel then? The exact same?
Yeah. I don't want them to win. I won't want them to win. That is how it works. You don't want the same teams winning over and over and over and over. Well, now that they've been there 3 times, I'm pretty much tired of them. To see them next year, they'll probably be there next year.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to be another rematch.
The next 10,
so then I'll be upset and I'll be disappointed.
Years is either Clemson or Alabama.
Yeah.
So I hope you're ready for it.
I'm not. I just won't watch college football.
To me, it's completely different from watching something like the NBA Finals where you see the same players, the same coaches every year. Nobody wants to see Tristan Thompson and J.R. Smith in the finals for 3 or 4 straight years. That is just pain. There are different kids playing in these games. It was Deshaun Watson 2 years ago losing to, I can't even remember the Alabama quarterback's name.
I mean, most of them are
but
the best of the best of the nation.
Game. This time you have a true freshman quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. You have Tua, 2 phenomenal generational quarterbacks. You have true freshmen that are insane all over the board. You have 3 top 15 picks on Clemson's defensive line. There are different storylines in these games every year. So it's not the same thing every year. I can enjoy this. even with dominant teams. So you better enjoy the next 10 years of Clemson and Alabama because it's happening. It is going to continue to happen.
I'm not going to enjoy it.
These two coaches are at the top of the game. Urban Meyer is gone. So Ohio State will be a bit of a factor.
To be fair, he's gone for maybe a year. He'll be back
factor.
coaching. Give him 2 years. He'll be back coaching.
I think Urban is done. Especially
we'll talk in 2 years.
Especially with the health concerns and everything. It's a serious. Yeah, it's getting kind of serious.
Oh, it was. So. Yeah, the health concerns is the reason why he didn't do the job. Come on. But come on. Let's all be grown ups here, guys.
I just hope we're prepared for the next 10, maybe 15 of Clemson because Dabo is a young head coach. He's not going anywhere. He's young, energetic. He is a
staple.
He is a college football coach through and through. The NFL isn't pulling him out. They're not going to take his soul.
They don't have the money to pull him out.
Exactly. Clemson is keeping him there. Is what it is.
Malik, I mean, you put up a solid argument there.
In every sport, there are dominant teams. There will be those teams that get there every year or two. This is how it is. It's just how it is.
Joe?
I don't like it. I've already said that. I just didn't want Alabama to win again. I'm not saying that I want to see Clemson there every year. I never said that.
So you hate dominance in all sports?
Yeah,
that's what you're saying.
He wants parity.
Yeah, I don't want the same.
So you somewhat hate sports, is what you're saying.
I don't want to keep seeing the same exact
dominance
teams.
is a part of sports. It is a huge
not necessarily
part. Dynasties.
There are short-lived runs all the time.
The Patriots.
I want to go back to like the days of like USC being good for a couple years, then Texas being good for a couple years.
It wasn't a couple years.
The Oregon Ducks being good for a couple years.
USC was seen as the dominant power for about 4 or 5 years. The Pac-10,
right? And I'm okay with like 4 or 5 years. I don't like to see it necessarily because a lot of those times those teams will end up getting upset in the national championship game or something like that.
So it's supreme dominance that bothers you.
Yes.
10.
Like
plus.
When you have an Alabama team that is talked about every year.
I was going to say
preseason rankings #1 almost every single year. That's where it gets annoying.
How long has it been that Alabama has been this dominant? What has it been, like 8, 9 years?
They won their first national championship 2009.
They've been up there ever since.
Yeah, ever since then.
Since 2000. So it's been a 10-year reign of Bama.
5 national championships.
In 10 years.
Yeah, see, that's obnoxious.
That's obnoxious.
It is what it is.
It doesn't surpass.
Sometimes teams get a swing like this. That's how it happens.
The only dominance that I might dislike more is the dominance of LeBron James airing on ESPN.
Not LeBron James' reign of the Eastern Conference.
It is annoying.
No,
it's very
just
annoying.
Him being on ESPN.
I'd like to go a day without hearing
being
about
talked
LeBron,
about.
It's impossible. It's completely impossible.
So
why are you guys? Sorry, I was going to say something I probably shouldn't say. I was
going
to say I have something.
I'm just giving Alabama a little bit of credit. They're not there.
All right, let's get into the recap here. Clemson won 44-16. The game starts out fast. Tua throws a pick 6 to start this game off. We're off to the races. They're scoring in bunches. I want to start with you, Malik. What did you see from this game? Is this what you expected? And does this game leave you wanting more?
This game is why I love college football, because this is the type of stuff you don't see in the NFL, in my opinion. The level of talent and personality and everything that was displayed on that field last night. You have 17-year-old, 18-year-old kids just
17-year-olds
playing like this. Like it's Trevor Lawrence is 6'6", 215 and was born to play quarterback, 18 years old. Justin Ross is 6'4", 200 from Alabama, true freshman. And they just lit up the field last night. Seeing stuff like that is why I love college football. From freshman to senior, it doesn't matter if it's your time and you have the backing behind you, you have the coaching, it doesn't matter. You can light up any team. It wasn't what I expected at all. I expected it to be another close game, but Dabo showed why he's Dabo Swinney, why he's built Clemson to what it's become, and why Clemson will continue to be at the top of the game for years and years.
Let me ask you one more question before I go to Joe. What does Dabo have to do, not to surpass him as like the better coach of Nick Saban, but to be to be considered the best coach in college football?
Keep winning championships. It's
How many though?
It's as simple as that. You have to.
You got to
listen. Dominating the ACC. We're way past that. The ACC is not a problem for Dabo Swinney, and that within itself is insanely impressive. That your conference is nothing to. You just walk past those games. You'll get scared a time or two. You might get upset every now and then, but your conference is nothing. Get past that. The playoff comes in. People are going to expect you to be in the national conversation every year. That makes you a top 5 coach right there.
What do you consider him right now?
Well, I'd put him number 2 right now with Urban Meyer gone.
If Urban was here, you'd put him 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
What Urban has done throughout his career, I mean, with Urban gone, Dabo's 2. That's pretty much how you put it now. But that I didn't expect what happened last night. Clemson came to play. They weren't afraid at all, and that pick 6 in the beginning showed that they were alert. They were ready at every single level. The D-line dominated. The DBs were dominating for most of the game. They made it tough for Tua at every point, and it was impressive to watch.
Do you think Bama stuck with Tua for too long?
I think even if you put Jalen Hurts in, I don't think it would have made much of a difference. Alabama had no momentum going whatsoever. They were able to get some runs going, but you have to incorporate the pass too. You have to mix it up. It can't just be one thing to win a game.
Yeah.
They have a few runs, get some first downs, get to about the 40 or 30-yard line, try to start passing. Those DBs played in excellent man coverage and zone coverage. The D-line, full of first-round talent, dominated. And they were just in the zone all night. Nick Saban was just running, looking for answers, and he couldn't find anything.
Joe, what'd you see from last night? Any major takeaways? Any major Tysick things that you need to get off your chest?
Not really. I mean, I wish it would have been a closer game.
I mean, of course. Just more entertaining.
Especially after the first quarter when it was like Clemson got up
14-7 or something after
14-13 after the first. And I thought it was going to be a back and forth game because after Clemson got on the board, then Alabama kind of responded and it was kind of going back and forth, and then it just fizzled out. Alabama started having issues. Tua had a really bad game, which is not in his nature, obviously. But I think they should have went to Jalen Hurts a little bit early, just because he's been there before. And, I mean, just when you're having a bad game and you have 2 quality quarterbacks like Alabama does, I think it doesn't hurt you to switch him out and try Jalen. Because he had some good games himself when he took over for Tua in a couple games. But I don't know. It was just a dominating win from Clemson the whole time, and they struck on Alabama early. And I think that's kind of what we talked about before, is if you could get over Alabama and kind of throw them off guard like Oklahoma did in the second half, I think that's something we talked about. And I think it rattled Alabama, and then they lost all momentum, and then Clemson just took over the whole game.
Now, as a whole, how did you guys feel this college football season performed in your eyes? Was it a solid season for you as a fan of the sport, or does it leave you wanting more?
Look at his sweatshirt.
I know.
Because
as I was asking the question, I looked at the sweatshirt and I was like, I know where this is going.
College football is my thing. It's my favorite thing. Most seasons don't disappoint me. Having Alabama in control from game 1, that's interesting to me. I'm interested in from dominance to surprise teams to teams that fall off. I'm interested in it all. So it lived up to me. The freshman emerging, Tua coming back, Kyler Murray, it all lived up to what I wanted.
Joey?
I was disappointed.
I mean, I
was disappointed. I mean, obviously, when you have Michigan and Michigan State both having...
What? We're going to say Michigan State had a good year?
No, I was going to say both miserable years. I mean, obviously, Michigan
I wouldn't
had
say miserable
a decent
for Michigan.
year. The problem is they're just not winning the correct game, so it makes it miserable because they're so close.
It's torture.
So
it's torture.
It hurts when you don't see those teams, and then once Michigan and Michigan State are out, I'm more of the type of person that enjoys like West Coast offenses and things, and more of the extravagant college football offenses. So when I go and watch a national championship game and it's two pro style offenses,
Still,
it's not like as exciting.
The talent,
for me
I get
personally.
you. No, I get
the
you.
talent on the field. You had to be interested in the playmaking that was going on.
Well,
The way those athletes were it was insane to watch.
I mean, if you want to watch great athletes, just watch the NFL.
Right, I could watch the NFL.
That's what.
That is, to me, it's completely different.
Why?
Watching the NFL
Why?
is not as electric to me.
Why?
There are NFL teams
There
that
isn't as much energy because there is the college.
Besides Pro Bowl receivers, what receivers
There's
are
enough
out there
energy
making insane plays?
I defer on that though, because in the Super Bowl, there's tons of energy in that building.
Right.
This is the college football championship. I'm talking about if you want to see two pro level teams play, why don't you just watch the Super Bowl? If it's going to be Bama and Clemson.
Yeah. I just don't, like, for me, I like college football when it's crazy offenses and just more
Unexpected.
Yeah, more almost
I agree with you.
almost more fun,
Yeah,
I guess.
I agree with you.
To me, this is better than the Super Bowl because it is.
Yikes.
To me, watching Justin Ross in the zone like that through the third and fourth quarters, getting
He was
7 or 8 catches for 160 yards. He was playing with
he was
experienced
phenomenal.
DBs.
I will give you that.
And just flat out acting like I've been here. I'm almost like a senior. I'm a true freshman. That doesn't matter. I'm killing everybody. Like Tua Tagovailoa came into the game with 41 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Jerry Jeudy is like the closest thing to a flawless college receiver. There's so much within these games and these players that is just it's more interesting to me than the NFL. I'll watch the Super Bowl.
But you could say that for any matchup. There's so many different storylines within a game. It's just about which ones you're more interested in as a person. Just for you, you're just more interested in college football matchup because that's your sport. But you could say the same thing for someone that's an NFL guy. Oh, there's so many different stories within the story. There's games within the game. It's just about your outlook of it, you know?
Yeah.
So it's not that one sport is better than the other. It's just about what you prefer.
Look at Chris being the mediator.
See that?
We could have a whole
That's his job.
I could do a whole podcast of pro versus college. Like
That would be. I'm team pro all day long, but
Watching
think
NBA games is a struggle.
I am too, but
I decline.
one of my
I can't.
favorite sports things
I chose to watch the Pistons game over
in
college
all of
football.
sports though.
That is horrible. That is disgusting.
March Madness is one of the best
Yes, I
sporting
agree with.
events of all.
I will say that I am addicted to March Madness.
But
Anyways, college football's done. Pack it up.
Michigan losing a lot of their coaches. How do you
Oh
feel
yes,
about that,
I forgot.
Malik?
Greg Madison going to Ohio State.
They
is
lost the
really-
line. Didn't they lose a line coach
Yeah,
too today?
somebody else went.
Yeah, they
today.
lost their line coach too
It's
today.
really weird, especially Greg Madison going to Ohio State.
Showing their true colors.
It's like
Actually, I can find that too. Give me a second. I'll tell you who the line coach
it's really
was.
like he's gonna go. It's so weird. I don't know how to explain exactly what's happening.
Let's see.
Jeff Hafley.
Al Washington, Michigan linebacker coach,
There's a bunch of guys.
headed to Columbus.
Hafley
Along
is
with Madison.
along with he was the 49ers assistant. But they were talking
So
about
that's two coaches.
Madison in the same thing.
That's two coaches leaving Michigan today for Ohio State coaching jobs. That's bad. That's bad.
That's
Talk
that
about a
says-
game
that says
within a
lot
game.
That says a lot about them.
That's
That says a lot about them. That's all.
Yeah.
I'm
talk.
saying.
Yeah, seriously. Because if you're going to leave a team, don't get me wrong.
You go
Money-
over to
Money speaks a lot, and I guarantee you that's why they made this move. I mean, that's what it always comes down to. But there's not many rivalries in sports that are as significant and hold so much emotion than Michigan Ohio State. That's one of those sports. That's one of those rivalries people know nationwide.
That unfortunately doesn't make sense because Ohio State has just whomped on Michigan the last
I'm
while,
just saying.
unfortunately.
this
But-
is jumping over to the other side.
Yeah. So that's some news. If we get more news, we will jump back into the college football offseason and stuff like that. But for the most part, that's it. Move on to the better sport, NFL. I'm just playing. It's just a joke. Just a joke. Just a joke. NFL playoffs happened this past weekend. Let's summarize the wild card round. The Colts beat up on the Texans 21-7.
Gosh.
Andrew Luck,
Ebron.
Ebron,
The nightmare
And then we have the Chargers in the AFC beat the Ravens 23-17, which turned out to be a really close game at the end. Very interesting until I believe it was Lamar Jackson fumbled at the end.
Yep, that was disappointing end to that game.
And then in the NFC, the Seahawks just barely lost to the Cowboys.
Aye.
Those Cowboys, 24-22. And then probably the best game of the weekend, Eagles beat the Bears 16-15. Cody Parkey missed a field goal. It did show it got a little bit tipped by a lineman on the Eagles, but he still, nonetheless, missed the field goal.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Joey's prediction
My
is
Super
still
Bowl picks
alive.
are still in there. Told you.
Who's from the AFC Chargers?
Chargers.
Who are my picks? Mine are still around, too.
Didn't you?
Don't scream.
Did you pick the Bears?
Yeah, I picked the Bears.
I had Saints and Patriots, so I didn't have to worry about anything.
Oh, okay.
The matchups this weekend for the divisional round, the Indianapolis Colts versus the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC. Let's break down that one first. Colts versus the Chiefs. What do you guys expect from this one going in? I think this game could be the best game of the weekend.
I have no idea what to think about the Colts. Going into the season, I thought they were going to be just as bad as they've been the last couple of years.
Because you didn't know what you're going to get from Andrew Luck. But now you know what you're going to get from Andrew Luck.
Even that, I didn't know that their defense was...
Or that they had the best tight end in the game.
As solid as it is, yeah. No,
and they have a rookie linebacker that's one of the best linebackers in the league.
Yeah, like their defense has come out of nowhere.
And here's the thing, too. Kansas City Chiefs, they are a very good team. They're one of the best teams in the NFL this year. But they are also a team, when the playoffs come around, that are always primed to lose early on. That's something that's got to weigh in the back of Kansas City's head.
And you have a young quarterback. I mean, MVP candidate, but he's
his first time in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's never been here before. It's hard to say.
Malik, you have anything you want to break down from this matchup?
This is in Kansas City, right?
Yep.
That Kansas City crowd can disappear very quickly, and it's been shown. If the other team goes on a little hot run, that crowd can go quiet very quickly, and the momentum can change in the blink of an eye. The Titans did it last year. Mariota made a few plays, and the whole stadium became uneasy. Andrew Luck is hot right now. That team is playing really good. If the Colts come out hot, that stadium will be completely flat. Everybody will be feeling like, not again. This is just another year of disappointment. And the Colts can have a shocking win if they come out hot, because the Chiefs fall apart very fast if you hit them hard, and they don't know how to counter.
I want predictions from you guys. You don't have to give me a score. You can just tell me who you got winning this game. I'll start off. I'm going Colts. Colts over Chiefs.
I have the Chiefs. Mostly because I want to see Eric Ebron get out.
Malik?
I'm going to go with the Colts.
Ooh,
Yikes.
He was very 50-50 on that one. All right, moving on. We got Chargers versus the Patriots. That's also going to be a really good game. I'm worried because I did pick the Patriots to be my Super Bowl team from the AFC, but the Chargers look really good. 13-4 on the year. What do you guys see from this matchup?
Give me the Chargers. Give me Phillip.
I want the Chargers to win. I feel like Phillip Rivers kind of deserves it at this point in his
career.
career.
Like the Chargers are another team, though, that also always lose early on in the playoffs.
Although Anthony Lynn scared me last week because he never, not at any point, he didn't want to take any chances. When they got up 23 to, was it 23-3 or 20-3?
Yeah, they were.
When they got
early.
up 20-3, Anthony Lynn didn't want to go deep. He didn't want to just close it out or anything. He just wanted to run the ball, play it safe. You can't do that in the playoffs. You have to smash that team when you can. Playing around with the Patriots like that is going to lose you a game. Anthony Lynn, do not play around. If you get up 14-0, keep your foot on the gas.
And that's exactly what concerns me the most about this game is that nobody's talking about the Patriots, and that's scary.
That's because this is the worst team.
Yeah, because the Patriots are bad right now.
Yeah.
But that's a scary thing to talk about because, I don't know. I really want the Chargers to win, but it just makes me a little bit nervous.
There should be honestly, there's no reason why the Patriots pull off a shocking blowout or anything. They don't have a good defense. Brady has been somewhat on board with his receivers all season.
Malik, you're making a mistake here.
I'm picking the Chargers.
You're making a mistake by not trusting in Bill Belichick and Tom Brady this time of year. That's all I'm going to say. Saying you can't see it happening. I can see the Patriots just destroying the Chargers. I could
I've
see
never seen
a 3-touchdown.
I've never
win.
seen in my life. I haven't seen a Patriots team look like this. That's the reason why I'm doing it.
The best cure for the New England Patriots is just get to the playoffs and start playing those games, because they've proved year in and year out they are just a perennial playoff team you don't want to mess with.
Bill Belichick has never had a bad defense and turned them into a great defense in the playoffs. That's never happened.
I'm not saying that to be a great defense. All they have to be is a good defense.
He usually has a good to really good defense, and they pick it up in the playoffs. This is a bad.
a bad defense, but if they can pick it up to be an average to a slightly
if they pick
above
it up to
average
average, the Chargers can still beat them by 2 touchdowns.
I disagree. But
We'll just have to see.
we'll just have to see. So you got Chargers.
Watch Tom Brady
Chargers.
win this game. Watch Tom Brady win.
Give me them Pats.
That's why I said it's
That's
a
my
little
Super Bowl
nerve-wracking.
pick. In the NFC, we have the Eagles. Joey, can you do the honors?
Fly. Eagles fly.
You're a Lions fan. Stop it. Stop it.
I'm an Eagles
Get
fan
off
for
the
the
bandwagon.
playoffs.
Jets,
Stop.
baby. Let's get it.
Are you a
Number
Nick
3 pick in the
Foles
draft.
fan or an Eagles fan?
I love rooting for Nick
There's
Foles.
a
I'm not gonna
difference.
lie.
I really like Alshon
Everybody's
Jeffrey,
a Nick
though.
Foles fan right now.
Well, see, back in the day, though, I used to love Deshaun Jackson, one of my favorite
yeah.
wide receivers. So, like, I did enjoy seeing them. So, I mean, like
that's a Joey Tissick soundbite right there.
the Eagles had
Yeah.
such good receivers back in the day. I loved it.
Uh,
And
what,
then they got Michael Vick.
what do you guys see from this one? Eagles Saints. Joey, are you still rocking with the Eagles?
I have to
But can you
describe why. The way that their defense played against the Bears was incredible. I don't think anybody saw that coming. And
I think because people don't trust Mitch Trubisky, I'm sure they knew it wouldn't be a high-scoring game.
yeah, but I mean, the Bears have shown that they can put up points in this year. And again, everybody's doubting the Eagles, but there is something about the Eagles when Nick Foles plays. Something about the chemistry with the wide receivers just works. And when you have a guy like Alshon Jeffrey, who is still a very, very good receiver in this league, you can make anything happen. And their combination of like okay running backs that have different ways of running the football.
I really wish
I
they
think-
get rid of Kenyon Barner. I really wish he was gone.
Yeah,
I don't know why he's still on that team.
right. But like even Darren Sproles, it feels like he's been in the league forever now, but he's still running and making plays and
because he has been in the league forever.
right. But
This is his last year.
there's just something about the Eagles team. I like watching them.
Malik, what do you see from this matchup?
I like watching them, so they're going to win. A prediction by Joey Tissick.
Hey, that's how I've been making all my predictions. And most of them turn out pretty well.
I got to trust Drew. I have to trust Drew. They've
It's
been
at
in
home, too.
They've been in a dry spell lately, but I trust him.
I mean, a dry spell. They're 13-3. It's not that bad.
I know, but they've looked flat lately. That's what I'm saying.
They got bored. They want to get to the real thing.
I trust Drew. Saints win.
Yeah, I'm taking the Saints. Joe still sticking with those Eagles, huh?
Got to.
And then the last matchup for the weekend, the Dallas Cowboys, the 4th seed, playing in LA, the Rams, the 2 seed. I think the Cowboys are just going to get ran out of that place.
I hope so. I really hope so.
I'm surprised they honestly finished the year as well as they did. The Cowboys.
Yeah, they were looking rough for a while, and
the first 6-7 weeks they did not look good whatsoever.
Yep.
You got anything on this matchup, Malik?
Rams.
It's not even going to be close. It's going to be a blowout.
Rams.
Joe, Rams.
I'm not saying a blowout.
Yeah.
Because the Cowboys are playing really good right now. But Rams.
I'm going.
Rams.
I'm going with the Rams just based on weapons, and I mean I know that's kind of the cop out, but
Yes.
I mean the only X factor in this game is Todd Gurley versus Ezekiel Elliott. That'll be the most interesting matchup, I think, and that'll probably dictate most of the game. But yeah, if the Rams get going, I don't think the Cowboys can stop them.
All right. Well, we'll find out next week. We will break down the games next week as well as look forward to we're already at the championship games next weekend. That's crazy. Moving on though, let's talk some hoops. Michigan, they won the games that we said were going to be a little bit difficult. They beat Indiana. They beat Penn State. They're number 2 in the nation. They're undefeated. What more does this team have to prove to either of you guys that they can make a serious push in the tournament?
They have to beat Michigan State. It's going to come down to that matchup.
Okay.
The way that Michigan is playing right now is insane.
There's so much chemistry with this team.
Even with the small laps in the second half against Indiana, they just looked really dominant, especially to start off the game.
They know how to counter when they get punched.
Right, and especially the way that they started that game was incredible. Give credit to Romeo Langford. He's one heck of a player for Indiana. I felt like he kind of kept them in the game the whole time. But again, Michigan's depth is just so much stronger than most of these teams that I don't know how teams will deal with it, because at any given point, somebody can make baskets and then get going. Like you saw Charles Matthews explode in the first half, and then like Brazdeikis had a pretty not so great game. And then Jordan Poole's emergence this year.
Jordan Poole's making people look silly.
I said that going into the season that he was like the biggest question mark that he could change.
Made for the NBA.
He could change this team. And now, like I said, I think we said a couple weeks ago or whatever, that now that Big Ten play has started, a couple of those Big Ten teams have fallen out of the top 25, so they're starting to dwindle a little bit. But I mean, they still have to watch out kind of for like Maryland, Nebraska. Those teams are still solid. They do have to play Ohio State as well, which is a little bit tricky. But
well, I'm looking at the schedule right now, and I don't see a potential loss until the 25th of January, and that's when they visit Indiana. They play.
Yeah, the rematch might be interesting.
About to say that when they go to Indiana.
Yeah, they play at Illinois next on the 10th.
Yeah, these next couple games they should be easy.
At Wisconsin, maybe, but I'm not worried about.
There.
I'm not worried.
They're better.
Wisconsin's another one of those teams though that's kind of fading a little bit.
Yeah, they're not as good as they were last year.
So it'll be interesting. I think, like I said, I think Michigan versus Michigan State is going to be the key, and that'll really be telling. But I think Michigan has a really good chance.
I mean, it's that at Indiana on the 25th, and then they're at home against Ohio State on the 29th. Those two games. So even if what if their only loss on the schedule is Michigan State? You don't take them seriously?
No, they'll be serious for sure. But I'm just saying to like really put them over the top.
Is that win over MSU?
Yeah.
To me, this is the most encouraged I've been in them since the North Carolina win, and it's because John Teskey is starting to somewhat take some steps back to last year defensively. He got into a lot of foul trouble yesterday. Austin Davis isn't as talented as most of the players on that team. Isaiah Livers is hurt. They bring in Brandon Johns, true freshman.
That's another one I was going to bring up.
8 points, 8 rebounds,
Brandon
13
Johns
minutes.
Looks good.
This is what I've been waiting for. Get him incorporated. He's showing right now he has the talent. There's a reason why he was the highest ranked recruit in this class. He has all the talent. He can take over Austin Davis's minute as the backup.
He was
the backup five. Yeah, backup
runner-up Michigan, Mr. Basketball.
Exactly. He's big, 6'9". He's strong. He's athletic. He surprisingly played some really good defense on Juwan Morgan. And 8 and 8 in 13 minutes. That's exactly what they needed with Isaiah Livers out. Isaiah Livers being out might be the most important thing that happened this season, because they're gonna have him and Dave DeJulius are gonna get more and more minutes throughout the season. And as that depth gets better and better, when guys get in foul trouble, it won't be a problem for guys to step in and things just keep rolling. So that win yesterday, the way they started and the way they finished, I'm really encouraged in how they look right now.
Now let's flip over to East Lansing, talk some Spartans. They're 13-2. They're riding an 8-game win streak right now, coming off their biggest win of the year. They beat Ohio State. It was at Ohio State. 86-77. Ohio State's number 14 in the country. They're no bad team. What did you guys take from that game? I think that was a statement win for MSU.
This was a very, very important win for them. I think if they lost,
other teams on notice.
Yeah, I think if they lost this game, I think there could have been a little stretch where maybe they lost like 3 out of 6 or something.
Just hurts the confidence.
Yeah, I think if they lost this game, other teams in the Big Ten wouldn't be. They'd be less afraid. They'd realize they can exploit Michigan State more. Michigan State showed in this game they're developing some serious depth. Their true freshmen are really showing up. Aaron Henry, he's going to be something in a year or two. He's going to be a key player on that team. Kyle Ahrens, he's really impressing me. The way he can start a run with his shooting and his athleticism and his hard play. Xavier Tillman, They are another team. They have great chemistry. They all play extremely well together. Even Foster Lawyer's putting in some very important minutes and playing well. So, like Michigan, they're on a roll right now, and they're developing depth. And like Joey said, that matchup is going to be something. When those teams play, there's going to be a lot that comes out of that.
That's
game.
probably going to be the most hyped Michigan State basketball
In
game
years. Yeah.
all very long time. Joey, what'd you think about the MSU win over Ohio State in Ohio State? To me, and I think to Malik too, that's a statement win. Puts everybody else in the country on notice. These guys are legit.
Michigan and Michigan State, they've made it known it's them too. And
but I will say to Joey's
right
point
now.
that we've talked about, Michigan hasn't proved much yet based on their schedule.
Michigan has they've had some impressive wins.
The North Carolina win it's huge.
Yeah.
But to date, I think the win over Ohio State's bigger. Right
in terms of
because
making in terms of making a message, since that Michigan win, I think this might be one of the most impressive wins in the country.
To be fair, too,
that and Tennessee beating Gonzaga.
that's an early season game.
Yeah.
In early season games, North Carolina's still just kind of kicking the tires. Don't get me wrong, it's a big win. I'm not taking anything from it. But when you get to the dog days of the season, like we're in right now, that's a huge win. Joey, what you got about it?
I disagree with that statement as well.
That's fine.
I think that getting the win over Villanova, as I've said before, we know they aren't as good, but just getting over that hump.
The way they beat Villanova made it huge.
And just being like, okay, we just beat the former national championship. Although take away all their, they lost a lot of talent. But then they go and play UNC, beat up on UNC. I think those are bigger. But as of right now, Michigan State is really rolling. And in a similar way to Michigan, but in a bigger fashion, Michigan State is playing without Josh Langford, which is huge for that team. To get a win over Ohio State without one of their best scorers on the team is impressive.
They're a tough team.
It's getting other guys involved, and now they can kind of coast up until February, where then they have to play Indiana, and then they rematch Ohio State, and then they play Michigan at the end of the month, and then in March, they play Indiana one more time and Michigan one more time. So their schedule doesn't get any easier. So they have a lot more that they can even prove, so they can keep moving up. Whereas Michigan, like I said, really their only big games are going to be against Michigan State. So if anything, Michigan State has more of the mountain that they can climb and get even closer and maybe even surpass. And that's why I put a big dot on that game of Michigan versus Michigan State, because that's going to tell a lot about both of these teams. And I think it's going to be super exciting. I'm super excited to see how highly ranked both these teams are, to be able to hopefully keep that up. And then by the time they play each other, to both be in, I would assume, the top 5. I think Michigan State can keep climbing. That it's going to be exciting.
You guys have anything else you want to put out there when it comes to Michigan State? Any college hoops? Oh, Zion Williamson. The slowest 360 dunk I've ever seen in my life. It was like he was hovering midair.
His hang time is it's otherworldly.
It is.
One of my favorite.
He spun, he dunked it.
He was still in the air.
And then he started reacting to the dunk while he was still in midair.
Well, there was that one picture on Twitter of somebody that was going for like a pump fake, and they go up to like look like they're gonna shoot it, and then Zion jumps and his head's above the rim to go to block it, so his hand's like at the backboard. And I think the quote was something about when you're playing 2K and you pass it midair, because it's like you freak out and you're like, I gotta get out of here. And it was pretty great. Nevada getting blown out. That was a pretty big deal.
Big turn of events. They're gonna fall back.
Yeah. I think so a little bit. I mean,
a loss like that. New Mexico is an okay team. They just got ran off the floor by a solid team.
They're usually decent, but yeah, to get blown out in that fashion is a pretty big blow to Nevada, I would say.
Mean, this could level them down and show them that they're human, and they could just win the rest of their games this season. So we'll see how that goes. People need to pay attention to Buffalo if you haven't paid attention yet.
I haven't paid attention.
Besides their one loss to Marquette, they're the best mid-major team in the country. They have one loss. They handled Syracuse in Syracuse. They blew out Arizona in the tournament last year in return to everybody. They're an experienced, deep, very talented team that can make a run in the tournament, like Elite 8 run.
Houston's back at it too.
Houston's still undefeated.
They're undefeated.
Houston should have beat Michigan last year. That Michigan got
Whoa.
They should.
A win is a win.
Michigan didn't play good, but it's the tournament.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm saying though,
Michigan didn't play
you can't
good.
say Houston
Houston
didn't
won.
win. Exactly. Houston should have won. They didn't,
Yeah.
but they should have.
Because Michigan ruined the whole game plan. That's enough.
Jordan Poole scored a total of 3 points in that game. Shout out to
Biggest
Jordan
3 points.
Poole.
Yeah.
Let's translate a little bit to the NBA here. Some actually big news did take place over this past week. Tom Thibodeau fired mid-season as president and head coach. To me, if you're going to make this big of a move, you do it in the offseason when you're going through all the Jimmy Butler stuff. He was let go after they blew out the Lakers at home, too. He's all happy. It's a good time. Goes in the office, see the owner. He gets the boot. Tibbs, he gets fired. He goes 97 and 107 in his tenure in Minnesota over 3 seasons. I understand where Glenn Taylor, the owner of the Timberwolves, is coming from because of all the infighting and all the things that were handled poorly over the past 6 or 7 months or so. But Tibbs got them their first playoff berth in 22 years?
This is the most stable they've been since 06, 07, since KG left.
You're not going to get a better coach. You're going to get a better GM. You're going to get a better front office. But you're not going to get a better coach than Tibbs right now, in my opinion. Their assistant coach, Ryan Saunders, who's the son of the late Flip Saunders, is taking over as the interim head coach. He'll get an interview to be the head coach. That they just do that because it's a formality. There's been rumbles about other front office guys being in the running. They said they're going to keep their GM in place, Scott Layden, who was reporting to Tibbs. He's supposed to be in place for the rest of the year. Of course, I highly doubt he's back next year. Names to look at: David Griffin, who's working for NBA TV right now. He's been a hot name. I think he got some consideration from the Pistons as well. Chauncey Billups. There's been rumors that the Wolves might be interested in bringing him in. Chauncey would want to be interested because he just wants to be in the front office. He does not want to coach. What do you guys think about this whole Minnesota situation? It just seems like from the start of the season, with all the turmoil going on, this was bound to happen. I'm just shocked at the timing. What do you guys have to say?
I think in the list of dysfunctional organizations, Minnesota's rising up right now because...
And Sacramento's fallen. It's weird.
Because it is very weird, but like I've said, they haven't been anything relevant besides having Kevin Love and some really pretty passes from Ricky Rubio in the past 10 years. This season and the past season where they made the playoffs has been the best thing they've had. And I don't think any coach could have handled the Jimmy Butler situation in a good way. Jimmy made that difficult for almost everybody, although I still love
They could have traded him before having him report to camp, though.
True. Very true.
And then continue to let him practice when he showed everybody up.
Yeah,
I just feel like that hurts chemistry, and that just puts a black eye on how it's ran. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. But honestly, I don't think any head coach could have exactly handled that in a fantastic way.
For sure.
I still think things would have ended up where they're at right now.
Him traded, him gone.
Anyways, yes, exactly. Seeing how I believe most of what Jimmy Butler was saying about Cat and Andrew Wiggins, they're young guys that maybe
Don't care.
Maybe they love playing basketball, but they don't have the intensity to be great. I believe what he was saying, and I believe personally that it was just a bad coach to player
Relationship.
match. Yeah, he brought in Taj Gibson,
Luol
Butler,
Deng,
yeah. He brought in Chicago
Timberwolves,
guys, to
Derrick Rose.
to try and put it into his image, but you can't just coat over your past with the future of another organization, especially with guys like Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins, who are supposed to be leading the charge into the future of an organization. You mentioned the Kings. They've gone all in on the future. De'Aaron Fox is leading that team. Those young guys are pushing them into a positive
They're
image.
in the playoffs right now if the season ended today.
Exactly. Tom Thibodeau decided to go with, let's just throw in some veterans and mix them with the young guys and see what happens. It doesn't work like that in every situation, especially with certain young guys, and it's unfortunate how it worked out. They made the playoffs last year. They looked promising, but it's a weird timing to fire him. It's not a good look.
It's a weird situation.
Yeah,
Joe, what's your take?
Yeah, the timing is odd. Just another show that, you can't be a president and a coach. It just doesn't work. It's never worked. And, to Malik's point about talking about how Sacramento has been all in, the Timberwolves have kind of tried to be all in with Cat and Andrew Wiggins. It didn't work. They're not guys that are going to take over the game. Andrew Wiggins has been almost a bust at times.
Well,
he's not living up to what he
when it was just them two, like when Zach LaVine was gone, they played at an extremely high level. They didn't win much,
right?
But they played at a high level.
Well, and that goes to the point that the Kings have taken the time to build up assets, and they've built something there. The Kings never had young talent. They flopped on a lot of drafts.
Buddy Hield's starting to play really well.
They ended up having some rough trades, and
it took them a while to get to where
Cat and Wiggins weren't enough, so they needed to make moves to do something.
Yeah,
they were almost in a Pistons-esque position,
stuck,
and they went for Jimmy Butler. Everybody thought it was going to work. It didn't, and now they're.
But it looked like it would work at first.
You take a waiver on that, though.
Right? No, I agree. I thought it was a good move.
But now in hindsight, you did lose that trade because Lauri Markkanen is a stud. Zach LaVine, I like him better than Andrew Wiggins. He's a better player than Andrew Wiggins.
I think he's a better
player. He's not afraid to attack at all times.
He cares. I think it just comes down to he actually cares more about the game.
And that's the biggest problem is that Tibbs is a hard-nosed guy, and he's going to get in your face. And for some reason, these young guys just don't care. And, that's on them, and that's unfortunate for the fans maybe.
A lot of young guys of this generation don't respond well to that type of old-school coaching.
Right.
And that's also on Tibbs for not – it's his philosophy, and I understand. He's an NBA coach. You're not going to make a guy with Tibbs' pedigree try to change his philosophy, but that's where it goes with it. It didn't match well.
I think it also falls on it's a players' league, and the players know it.
And I honestly felt like, him bringing in – Taj Gibson and Derrick Rose and all those guys, I felt like that actually worked more than, anything else that they could have tried. Because like I said, they didn't have any other depth.
They kind of act like, partly too, those guys kind of act like player coaches because these guys, the young guys who are disagreeing with Tibbs, Taj and Derrick can be like the advocates. It worked in Chicago. Trust me. Yeah, he's a pain in the butt. He gets results, you know?
And Taj, what you're going to get with him. Derrick Rose is playing out of his mind this season, which is incredible and cool to see.
I'm so happy with that.
And Jimmy Butler is a guy that wants to win, and you like to see that. But if the young guys aren't responding to it, there's not much you can do. And, it wasn't a good fit. But at the same time, I don't know what's going to be a good fit. If these guys don't care, they're not going to ever care.
Jimmy Butler is the player that's made to be coached by Tom Thibodeau. Tough player, tough coaching. That fit, but yeah.
And before we get into our teams to watch in the NBA moving forward, I want to do a quick transition to still Jimmy Butler. He's having issues in Philly now. I guess him and Brett Brown had a little bit of a falling out. He wants Brett to make a decision on is he the number one option on offense? What's going on? So was it more a Minnesota problem, or is it starting to look more like a Jimmy Butler problem with everything happening? He had issues in Chicago at the end. We all know about his issues in Minnesota. Now something starting to pop up in Philly. Is it Jimmy Butler that's just somewhat uncoachable?
I don't think he's uncoachable.
Yeah.
Because he became the player he is in Chicago a large part because Tom Thibodeau coached him and let him become who he was. Jimmy Butler became the number one guy in Chicago under Tom, and Tom let that happen. So it's not an uncoachable thing. I just think Jimmy Butler expects a lot from coaches and the players around him. And if he doesn't see that in people, he will point out what needs to change and what you need to change in you. And that rubs people the wrong way. Some people don't like being addressed that way. And it's understandable. It's a different NBA than it used to be.
It's a different era.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler. he's right now. He's my favorite player in the league, but it's tough to see things not working out. With
For sure.
Yeah, it's really tough to see.
I think the other big thing too is that
it's hard to.
Jimmy Butler has achieved more with less. So now that he's been able to play with like the talent level of Cat and Andrew Wiggins, and then now Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, JJ Redick, all these guys, he's got to expect like this has got to be the time that I can win. And they're not doing it. And even to an analytical standpoint, they've pointed out that the Sixers, the way that they run Joel Embiid and they stretch him out to the three-point line a lot more than he probably should, has been inefficient for this team. And I think Jimmy Butler knows that, and I think he's a smart guy that he can see it. Maybe the way he goes about it is a little bit wrong. Maybe he needs to approach it with a different mentality. I know he's built that way, he's hardwired that way, but maybe that's part of the issue. So I think it's kind of a 50-50 thing. I think he sees potential, and I think he just wants to win at this point in his career. So I do applaud him for that, and I can understand some of his frustration.
It could also be a case of him and Joel being two alpha dogs.
Yeah.
Fighting for control.
I'd say there's 3 alphas
and
with
then
him and Ben too.
But I think Joel is the clear alpha dog. How outspoken and how major his personality is, things go through him on that team. And Ben is the orchestrator of it. So with them two being alpha dogs, but Ben being the orchestrator, you have a number one go-to guy in Jimmy Butler. You have a number one go-to guy in Joel, and then you have a guy that's supposed to control the team. How do you figure that out?
Ben's not an alpha. He's dating a Jenner.
Joey wins this podcast. We should end it right there, but we're going to keep going.
So Joel Embiid and
Joey,
Butler.
you win this podcast.
Jimmy Butler and
like
Joel
8
Embiid.
burns in one sentence.
Yes.
Dang, Joe, bringing the
So,
heat.
that's a good
I
one.
like
That's a
it.
great one.
All right, that's a great way to end that segment. We got about 5 minutes left on the show. Guys, I want to do quick. What's your NBA team to watch moving forward for the rest of the year? Western Conference, go West first. Joe, what you got?
Pelicans. You know I'm a Pelicans guy.
Pelican through and through.
And
Fly Pelicans fly.
anybody in the West can win or do well. And the Pelicans made a run last year. I think they're going to do a similar thing this year. They're starting to get healthy again. They're still waiting on Mirotic to get back, but they finally have Elfrid Payton. Anthony Davis is too good to be losing. I know it's not his fault.
He's still playing
and
at
I
that
still think
incredible
that
level.
they're big buyers in this trade season, and I think that they've always needed some wing depth, but I think they'll actually make a move to do something. I just hope they don't give up too much for it necessarily, but they're just a dangerous team if they can get rolling because Julius Randle is playing superb, and if he goes back to the bench and you get Mirotic and Anthony Davis, Mirotic was playing great at the beginning of the season. I just think they're a dangerous team.
Malik, Western Conference team to watch.
My team is the San Antonio Spurs.
I like that.
People gave up on them pretty much after the first few weeks of the season. Everybody said this is a different league now. You have to shoot threes to win. Pop's philosophy is getting old. Then they proceed to go on an incredibly hot run. I'm pretty sure they had 3 straight wins of beating teams by like 20 or more.
Yeah.
They've just been running people over. DeMar DeRozan is playing up to what I thought he'd be playing to. LaMarcus Aldridge is still playing at a very high all-star level, which is very impressive. And that team has really good chemistry. I like how the Spurs look right now. They could finish with a 4 or 5 seed if they keep this up.
Yeah. My team to watch in the West is the Utah Jazz. What's similar between Malik and I's answers, they both just beat up on the Pistons. But Utah looks like they're starting to come into their own. Donovan's starting to come back into his own. I trust Quinn Snyder. I think he's one of the best young coaches in the NBA, and he's going to get that team turned around. The West is just so jumbled right now. You really can't make up what's going to be the top 8 teams. I'm not picking Sacramento to finish in the playoffs. I'm not crazy. I know what's going to happen. They're going to lose 8 straight games somewhere down the road. Eastern Conference team to watch, and this is going to be the team that I'm rooting for the rest of 2019 because I've given up on my Pistons. I've given up. I'm still a fan. I've given up wanting success this year to tank for Zion, tank for RJ, somehow get lucky and get a pick. My team, the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis Antetokounmpo, future MVP. The future coach of the year, Mike Budenholzer.
Hasn't he won coach of the year? Didn't he win it that year?
He's just another coach of the year.
Okay.
He's a future coach of the year award coming to him. But Splash Mountain, Brooke Lopez.
Splash Mountain.
That's one of my favorite nicknames in the
nickname
NBA. That's a great
hilarious.
nickname. But yeah, so Milwaukee Bucks, my team to watch in the East. Joe.
I'm gonna go with the Nets, just because they're an interesting team. I don't know where all of a sudden they just started playing well.
I love D'Angelo Russell.
All their young talent just started to play all really well at the same time. Before it was like D'Angelo would have a good game. You know, they've had Rondé Hollis-Jefferson there.
Spencer Dinwiddie.
Alan Crabb has been
How
hurt a
impressive
little
has
bit.
Jared Allen been as their starting center?
He's been real good defensively.
He's been impressive.
Remember how bleak their future was a couple years ago? Now they have Spencer Dinwiddie and D'Angelo Russell in the backcourt.
And I'm
Jared
surprised
Allen,
that those two work together.
they work very well together.
And they're both
off each other.
They're both big guards, so it works. It's even better.
And Spencer still comes off the bench, but they'll finish games. But Spencer's cool with coming off the bench.
Right.
I think it's a great dynamic.
Yeah, that team's interesting.
Team to watch in the East.
My team to watch in the East are the Indiana Pacers. They're a team that completely threw me off last year. I didn't expect them to be as good as they were. They could have beaten the Cavs in the playoffs last year, but LeBron was just too much. LeBron is gone now. They're a deep, talented team. Victor Oladipo still balling. Miles Turner still getting better. They're getting it done. And Domantas Sabonis is one of the most underrated bench players in the league to me. I think people are starting to notice how good he is because he's having some really, really almost all-star level games the past few weeks. So the Pacers, watch out for them.
They need to play Tyreek over Darren Collinson.
I don't know.
Darren
Collison. You like
should start.
Tyreek too much,
Darren should
man.
start.
Darren Collison has been.
He's still but he spaces the floor better
He's
than
been
Tyreek.
awful.
He spaces the floor better than
I don't know
Tyreek.
about that. He's averaging 9 points a game.
That's his
Tyreek
role.
can't shoot threes.
That's his role.
That's going to do it for our show this week. January 8th, 2018. Views from the sideline. We'll see you guys next time.
Eagles and Pelicans. Bye.
R.I.P. Mean Gene Okerlund, one of the best to ever do it in the WWE.